Find your path with the knowledge of others and become an illuminator for those who struggle. Guide their way just by being true and being in alignment, because it comes naturally to you. On self-discovery wisdom, we share to find inspiration with lessons for millions. We hope you listen.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful guest today is Jennifer Watson. And we're going to be talking about your original design and how to return to it. She's helping you in returning to your original design by human performance. Well, what does that mean? She spent her life fascinated by human excellence, the incredible ability of the human body and mind to perform, adapt, and create at the highest levels. Her journey began as a high-level athlete where she experienced excellence early in her life. But over time, she lost connection with that very system that made that excellence possible. Through her own journey of achievement, burnout, and rediscovery, she learned that sustainable performance does not come from pushing harder or becoming someone else. It comes from returning to the brilliance already designed within us. Her work explores the intersection of neuroscience, psychology, leadership, human potential, helping leaders reconnect with their mind and body so they can communicate, decide, and perform with greater clarity, resilience, vitality, and authenticity. Her upcoming book, known as Returning to the Original Design, shares the journey and explores how each of us can return to the core of who we are, becoming, feeling seen, and fully expressed. The unexpected discovery is that when we return to ourselves, performance becomes more natural, powerful, and sustainable. She's a dynamic speaker, an elite performance strategist, and leadership advisor with a gift of providing high-level advisory support to CEOs, business leaders, high-impact decision makers, navigating a complex, transitional, high-stakes decisions with focus, clarity, strategy, and insight. And we're going to be talking today about how, very much so, how we can be authentic within ourselves, how we can be the gift that we were born to be, how to sustain it and not let outside pressures get in the way, because who you are as a person daily and who you are in business should be the same person. You're just wearing a different hat of expertise. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I'm so excited about this conversation. I can't talk enough about the greatest machine ever made, which is the human machine, and how you can show up, honestly, where things matter most for you and really create an edge over your life and so many other things.
We're so conditioned to chase something, chase an expectation, chase this, chase that we lose ourselves along the way. Like, you were a natural born athlete. You had that passion and conviction, and it brought you to your excellence. Then somewhere along the line, it must have changed of being an expectation and not a passion. And if we're not living our passion or coming from the heart, very often we're just living in that expectation life and we lose ourselves, don't we?
Yes. It's so interesting. I work with so many high performers, so many people that honestly, from I'll call it an external sense, have lived a very successful life. They have the house, they have the business, they have all the things, they kind of check things off, but yet they're coming to me still feeling empty, still feeling anxious, depressed, feeling overwhelmed, burnt out. And some of us realize the things we've been doing that are causing that, and we don't know how to stop it, or we can't see everything, but we know there's something there. And we also know that we want to live from more, not just authentic, but from a space that feels joyful, grounded, and peaceful. At the end of the day, everybody that I speak to that is high performers, no matter how many lofty goals they have, they ultimately want peace and joy in the legacy they're trying to create. Men and women of all these different industries I've worked with. And I love working with these people because that was me. And what you said, I think there's so many layers we can go down here, Sarah, but a lot of us that were high performers, high achievers as kids, maybe we're excellent in a lot of things or even one thing really well. My journey and a lot of people I see, we start kind of connecting excellence to worth or
Yes.
excellence to being seen or excellence to what success really means what it really means about. And ultimately the layer of the dynamics of school and our parents bring on the next layer. And I think
Mhm.
what happens, we go from this space of being like kids, our joy and just
Yes.
producing the excellence into doing for others. And the irony
Mm.
is when we go back to doing it for the fun, for the
Yes.
refinement of excelling, is when what you said, we are more like bees to honey, where people, places, and opportunities come to us. I have a great example of this, Sarah. I remember when I first started my PT practice and I went to my first network event and I was already in this kind of dysfunctional space of human performance. And I went with a friend of mine who was standing in the corner of the room, just very confident with a glass of wine. And I'm running around the room like a chicken with his head cut off with like 100 business cards. I'm like, this is what I do. This is how good I am. So
Meow, meow, meow.
and I watched her, and she had so many people coming to her, and she got
Mm.
business from that. And I walked away from that feeling exhausted, and it really had nothing to do with obviously she had more excellence than me,
Right.
she was better than me. It had really to do with I had to step back, and there were many other examples like that in my early career that I had to rewire, look at. For one, what does success really mean to me? Number
Mhm.
two, what do I want different to align with what I feel success truly is? And can I actually be in a place of peace and joy
Mm.
no matter the outcome?
Yes.
I think that's something a lot of high performers really connect to too, that if I quote fail or I don't get quite the race time or I don't
Mm.
get the number of clients with this launch or whatever your number is, we really take it upon ourselves. And a lot of us say we don't, but a lot of us do. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned from the book I'm writing,
Mm.
from the journey I've taken with 18 plus years in business leadership, and 25 years of, wellness and
Mm.
looking at performance and the human mind and body and how it does best, is we really have to redefine what performance is, what
Yes.
success is. And I believe when we go back to this more healthier state, which we can even dialogue about, we naturally have some of these other external things that happen that we want, whether it be
Mm.
money or a certain level of bigness or largeness in your company or whatever wellness goals or whatever else you want in your life. So my biggest hope is that as people step in working with me or read this book that's going to come out sometime next year, like, what is it that you want to get back to that feels
Yeah.
joyful, peaceful, and honestly playful? And when we
Yes.
start
Yes.
rewiring the body and the mind to do that again, by the way, I have all these frameworks of how to start doing that. I think we're going to live in this place that feels good
Mm.
while we are moving our impact and the way we want to lead our cause and our life in a more powerful way.
So many things I want to unpack there. Number one, being calm amongst the chaos,
Mm,
right? That is an art that you develop, letting the chaos run around you, being calm, being present in your own essence. And that essence is what reverberates out of you, which draws people to you, right? And that is something that we have to learn to do because we have been taught to chase. Right.
yes.
And so if it is just that I'm in my truth, I'm in my presence, I'm in my essence, those that feel it will come. Those that don't won't. And that is okay. And I think very much what something I harp on is that we're so conditioned to live this human excellence. And I'm saying human, not human being, right? We forget the beingness of us, our heart, our soul, our spirit, because everything is about the mind. And we forget how to be this essence, this gift that we are, that purpose of what we're designed to do, and be busy chasing that approval, or that, I must reach this level to be important or to count. And there's countless interviews I've done through the years of people saying, I bought into that. I was the CEO. I was making this money. I had the house, the car, the this and that. Then I got the divorce, and then I had the heart attack, and then I had this and that. And I was miserable. I supposedly had everything that would make me happy, but I was miserable and I became sick and my life broke down because I wasn't being true to who I am in my essence as a being. I was chasing the human expression and not being the whole human being. And I think that is something that is not promoted, but now we're seeing more and more and more of people like yourself helping people get back to the beingness of who they are.
Well, it's really interesting. We have the being and the doing in both of us.
Yes.
In what we do as human beings in our history, if you look at our history, we swing high right or high left.
Yes.
We've been in the high right of doing for a while, and what's happening is just like you can say that about health. We were in pharmaceuticals, and now we're coming back to more holistic. Like
Mm-hmm.
human beings have a tendency to get really polarizing because it helps them move. And what we're doing is we're seeing ourselves shift back into the being, to the play,
Yes.
to just the journey of excellence, no matter if it ends up good or bad. And I will
Yeah.
say, one of the things that I think is one of the greatest successes. I got asked this on another podcast about what the greatest success would be for my life. And I believe
Mm,
also my answer, which I'll give to you guys, I believe a lot of leaders at this stage are wanting this, that they can go after their
mm,
dream, their goal, their vision, whatever it is, whether it be business or even some other personal goals and wellness goals, that you can be in the being in whether it ends up really good or not so good, that you can remain neutral. You mentioned about
mm,
being calm in the chaos. So
mm.
whether it is there's true chaos going on around you or chaos in your mind about
Yes.
what's going on, which is probably the bigger issue with most of my people, which we'll get into in a second. But I will say this, one of your greatest flexes in learning how to do this, and something I work on with so many of my clients, is how do you create neutrality on
Mm,
win, what you deem as a win or success, and what you deem as a failure. Because when you see both as wins,
mm.
it loses power over both. Because if you're always like, oh, I get the rush, the dopamine hit of the win, and I also get the ooh of the loss, and I want to run out of that pain, you're constantly chasing to get
Yes.
out of something.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I would say the greatest success that I think any leader of today, with everything we have going on, the decisions we're making, we're in a different era than we ever been, is that we can live our legacy and our impact with joy and peace, no matter
Hmm.
what internal or external chaos is
Yes.
around us. And there are frameworks for that. And the caveat second to that, Sarah, I will say is this, is along with the chaos, majority of the clients that I work with, yes, there's external chaos, there's economy, and there's things
Mm.
maybe in your personal life or your business, but much of it is our distortion under stress.
Yeah.
And again, often it's not always you have a lot on your plate or things are going bad externally and we're getting, quote, burnout. I put that in air quote because I believe most of us are not burnout. I believe most of us are in distortion under stress.
Mm.
We're perceiving things as good or bad when
Right.
really we can get to this power flex of neutrality of what's going on. It's when the body actually rises, whether it's in a
Hmm.
really bad environment or you deem bad or really good, when you can actually move in your mind and your body to move through any environment in a neutral space, you honestly win the game of life. I actually believe that because you get to
Mm.
have the success that you want. And by the way, the body shows that when we're in more of a calmer state, we get
Hmm.
more flow states easier, which allows us to be
Yes.
more productive,
Yes.
more creative,
Hmm.
problem solving, all the things that you want that you need to actually create the success. So the
Yeah.
irony is, how do we slow down and not get attached to, oh, I did bad, therefore I'm bad. Oh,
Yeah.
I did great, therefore I get all that accolades. We're constantly chasing versus getting the space. So I'm going to invite all of you in. What is success? What is excellence? What does performance truly mean to you? And if it's truly a lot is out there,
Yes.
taking away your power from in here.
Hmm.
And by the way, I'm going to say it again, the more we can navigate and play like a child in the
Yes.
whole journey of excellence, the more whatever you want out there, you guys, and no matter what the environment, it'll happen. I've seen it in my own life. This is science, you guys, at its
Yeah.
best when we're in flow. Like you said, we bring the people, places, and opportunities. We collapse time on getting things
Hmm.
done and finding the things that are aligned with our purpose. And that does not mean life is easy. But what I will say, we make it 10 times harder by our perception of good or bad versus actually changing the reality of how our body reacts to it. There's something that has an opportunity out there to create excellence and performance in. So my challenge to all of you, and as I'll call it performance architect, I call myself
Mhm.
that, is it's not about being at your peak every day, but it's taking what's handed you and putting it into a beautiful art that allows your best being to come out, and that ultimately the icing on the cake are the things you get naturally and you actually feel good doing it.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
that's the bottom line of it. Feel good doing it. And, this is under building your business. It could have gone under many of the different genres here. But who you are as a human being, in the essence of who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, right? Why, what's driving the bus? Is it, I want to be at the top of the game? You're living the outside life. If it's like, I really want to be my meaningful purpose and make a difference in the world, then you're
Mhm.
living in that truth. You're living in that essence, and it is your how and whom you serve. And you want people to feel and resonate with that, before the big bells and whistles. I think people are moving away from the big bells and whistles and rah-rahs. People are kind of saying, that feels empty. I'm not feeling connected to it. I want to feel something from the person I'm interacting with. I want to feel that they're actually living in their truth. They really do believe what they believe in. It's not just a sales thing. It's something that this is their conviction and their passion. But people have got to feel it from you.
Yeah.
Anybody could say the right words. If you're not feeling it from that person, you're not going to make the connection. And everything is about connection.
Yes. And the interesting thing is, you guys, truth is one of the highest frequencies.
Yes.
Whether
Yes.
people agree with your truth or not, people are
Hmm.
not drawn. I've been around people that actually don't agree with everything I talk about on leadership performance, but because they
Exactly.
feel my truth, they're willing to navigate with me. How much of a tool would that be great for you guys when you go into boardrooms, you're trying to sell your stuff and you're not sure if they're going to like it. When you get in this truth, this way that you want to present, you are going to find your people and they're going to be respectful of you if you're in your truth, whether they end up buying from you or not. But the irony is with this, we always say it's very simple to say, right? But very tough to practice, because when most of you are probably, because I had to go through this, I had to get really down and dirty, Sarah.
Mm.
Mirror, like, am I actually practicing my truth? In my truth, you guys, what does that mean? That can mean a lot of things. What my core values are,
Mm.
how I want to show up as a leader, how I want to serve,
Mm.
how I want to receive. What is my gratitude practice? What is my behavior? Does it align with where I want to go or not? Because this is what I'm talking about. We have to get that's the hard part. We're like, well, that
Yeah.
sounds easy, Jennifer. Do my truth once you get clear in it. One, that changes often as we move through our life. But two, how many of us have shut down our voice when our truth maybe was not going to align with someone else in the boardroom, and
Mm.
we get a riff, and so we shut back? How many times have we done something else that wasn't practicing our truth, or decided to do something that's outside of our purpose just because we felt we should, because we were trying to be nice, and then
You
we
should.
something else, and our performance went poorly down another road.
Mm.
Guys, truth connected to performance is one of your biggest
Mm.
ammos. But I will say, it sounds simple, but I'm going to invite all of you in to really look at, like, every night audit, like, what are my core values? Am I showing
Mhm.
up the way I want to give and serve? And by the way, it doesn't mean you're going to be perfect every day,
No.
but it allows you to look at some things. And I'm going to be honest with all of you. I did that, and it was great to do it on my own for a little bit. But I ultimately need support. Many of us are wired, as we just mentioned
Mhm.
earlier, Sarah mentioned earlier, like, to perform, to get accolades, to be the
Mm.
best here because we want to be the best, or we want to be the big one on stage, versus actually doing it from a space of excellence, no matter
Yes.
win or loss.
Yes.
So I'm going to encourage all of you to look at this truthfully. One, like, what is my truth? Am I living that way? And do you need some support in this to rewire not just the brain, you guys, but our body? Our
Yeah.
body holds our beliefs, what
Hmm.
our internal operating systems are, and our behaviors come from that. We can only out discipline so far before we fall back into pattern. And that's where I ended up. Sometimes I was like, I still am falling back into connecting performance to a dysfunctional space of significance, of trying to
Hmm.
don't see me sweat. So when I got through that, I came up with my own frameworks, and through my own coaching support, really found out how to come back,
Yeah.
peace and calmness. So by the way, you guys, it doesn't mean you're not going to have hard days. You're not going to be angry sometimes.
Exactly.
I've worked with prior military guys that were, they had to show up and shut down certain things. What I'm trying to tell you guys on day in, day out life, that's not happening. We're not in zones where we're literally being threatened. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For our
Yes.
life. We're lucky that we live, at least where I live, in a country that we have some basic safety. Okay. What I'm telling you, most of the time, we put ourselves in what we deem as threat every
Mm.
single day. And it's a wiring that's been put in us about
Yeah.
connection to being ostracized, being looked at
Mhm.
poorly if we don't correct it or lead well or lead our business well or whatever we're saying to ourselves. So I'm going to invite you in. Like, are you treating every day as a threat? And not
Yeah.
that you're meaning to, but is your body, if you're
Yeah.
waking up with anxiety, depression, burnout every day, you guys, this is a hard check for you because your body never lies. One of the things I talk about is your body's brilliance, its inner wisdom, its intuition. It's always trying to talk
Yes.
to you about what to decide, what to connect with,
The
what to,
knowingness. Hmm.
yeah, what to perform in. And you guys, we've lost some of that. And not only because we've given a lot of our agency away. By the way, I use AI because I'm not saying it's bad, but where we've
Yes.
given a lot of that away to systems and AI, and we need to start pulling back to the greatest machine that's ever been made, the human
Yes.
machine, and
Yes.
listening to the intelligence that it has to guide not only AI, but your performance, your life, the way you want to lead, and start trusting that again. And that sometimes needs additional support. I know I needed it, but now in my own transition through all the spaces that I've lived in and transition and new identities through my life, I've moved through the space of the understanding of how to do it with groundedness, peace and joy, no matter what's going on around you. Even when I'm going to have periods of days where I don't always knock it out of the park, where I might lose my cool, where it's
Yeah.
not about being perfect, but it's understanding that you can still get back to her or him.
Right.
Returning back to original design is one of your greatest flexes. I believe you need as a human being, not only in this day and age for your business, but for every aspect of your life.
More and more and more people are feeling their actual nerve endings run right through their body. It goes right to the base of your feet. And they don't realize they're operating on this nervous system that is like this the whole time. And you're so used to it now that you don't realize. And it's like it's in fight or flight. It's in fear. It's in protection. It's in guarding, and it's at its optimum, right? And it's like we need to pull it back and let it know it's safe. Thank you for the warning. It's safe. It's okay. You can come back. And we
Yeah.
need to do an awful lot of that work where we can take the breath, that we can recenter ourselves, so we can trust our inner compass. We
Right.
can feel the knowingness of what we need to know when we need to know it with clarity, right?
Yeah.
That is the wisdom that goes through your soul, your heart, your spirit to your mind. We've been conditioned too much to think without the feeling and incorporating the wholeness of our body and our
Yeah.
spirit, and how we bring things down into calmness, about calmness in the chaos. When we do that, then we see what really is important, and we see what we really need to do in the now,
Yeah.
and nothing else around it is important.
There's in a world right now that's telling us to move really fast, and I'm going
Yeah.
to ask you all to question, why do we need to move so fast?
Mm.
Uh,
Hmm.
Saying it, guys.
Yes.
Why do we want to move so fast? What I always want you guys to question: why do you need something to make you get there faster? I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's right or wrong. I'm saying why.
Hmm.
But number two, even if you do want to get there faster, even if you want a modality to get you there faster, the human engine, when you are willing to pause
Yes.
and listen to the body, you guys. This is not woo woo. This is
No.
how many times all of us have felt it. We're like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I
Yeah.
sent that
Mm.
person. I shouldn't have. And we've all had it, you guys, but we've lost it a little bit in
Yeah.
the world. Our critical thinking, our emotional intelligence has been squandered. And it's one of the things, by the way, I talk about in my high performance framework. It's not just about producing more and being of excellence, but it's also using the high performance of your human design to decide well and communicate well. And it always starts back with communicating well with yourself. Are you listening to yourself? Deciding well with your little micro decisions before you decide with your team. Like everything that you want to lead your team in to produce better, decide better, and communicate better, which is all about the performance of the human being and the connection with each other. It absolutely, yes, we hear it all the time, starts with us, but how many of us actually take those words and go, I'm listening.
Yes.
To go faster, you do have to slow down. And I encourage all of you to set some times throughout the day where you're just walking and not doing anything. Allow your body space. I say often the brain needs space, the body needs boredom. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we need an opportunity to integrate some things, to filter out the noise of the world, to listen to this. You guys, our body needs to make decisions first, but it can't when there's a lot of chaos. Our body
Exactly.
decides and our brain executes. When it's muddled and
Hmm.
overwhelmed, it is going to feel the chaos and it's not going to execute things that are the best for your team, the best
Hmm.
for your vision. Think about you guys, and I know all of you get this. I say, when you're shut down, your nervous system, whether it be fight, flight, or fawn or freeze, fawn is a people pleasing one, which we don't necessarily
Right.
do today. But when we shut down, we can't show up. We can't really
Right.
make the right decision. We can't get the nuance of maybe someone that's not quite at the meeting the way they should
Hmm.
know how to connect with them. Because I've literally seen people that have been good communicators all their life, and in the last couple of years, I've been at network events with them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they've lost the connection to articulate. We've
Yes.
really thrown some of that away. So when I say performance, you guys, it's about creating agency and protection of the human machine.
Hmm.
Go back to connecting to who you really are, trusting the inner communication your body's already
The
giving.
instincts. Hmm.
Start creating congruence and strength in that and confidence in that. And then you can exude from that the space of what performance truly means to you. And not the accolades, not
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
those will actually come if you let go of the goal a little bit and get back into the play and maneuver.
Yeah.
Everything changes, you guys. Go hang out with the kid for a while. Go
Oh
hang
gosh, yes.
the kid will show you how to do it. The elder will say what they did wrong. You guys, I literally love hanging around elderly and kids, side note, because some of the things I'm talking about, return design, they show you every day, along with dogs, elderly kids and dogs.
Yes.
You guys,
Yes.
if you want to get a coach, I think that's important. But if you want to start out by just looking at yourself, look at kids, dogs, and elderly. And I'm telling you, they got it
Yeah.
straight. Flex and come into a space that allows you to perform, go back to your design from that space, be grounded to be able to do all the things that's out in that chaos and neutralize good and bad. And when you can do that, again, you're game over. You're going to win this game called life and actually be in a
Yeah.
space you're not exhausted and be able to be at the end and go, wow, I did something that felt joyful.
Exact, meaningful, etc. I've got three grandchildren under the age of 5, so 5, 3, and 10 months. So I work 3 days a week, and 3 days a week I'm with my grandkids, and I have to be present in the now with them. It's a wonderful reset. Whether I'm reading books, goofing, playing, whatever, I have to be present. They don't care about what's happening next. It's what's happening now. They don't care what happened a moment ago. It's what's happening now. So it's a really good way of just allowing you to play, but allowing you to be present and kind of reset yourself. The other thing is, I used to be the hare and the tortoise. I had a vision. I had to chase it. Let's get there. Everybody else come along, right? And now I've become the tortoise. And with the tortoise, I'm meeting more meaningful people with a more meaningful purpose. Everything is just more rooted and has more depth and more understanding and more compassion and just more exuberance. And I don't have to rush, right? Every step is meaningful. Every step has a reason to be. And I'm going to get wherever I need to go when I need to get there. And that's the thing, it's kind of surrender and allow and follow. The path, the inner compass is there. But we mustn't override that compass. Listen to the compass and it will take us where we need to be.
And a lot of people, it's very hard to listen to it if there's chaos. So it's hard to get in your truth when you're triggered. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I do, you guys, to kind of get move through that. So we run away from the yuck a little bit. And I do a lot with body movement to help
Mm-hmm.
somatically. You guys heard somatics, it's your body's sensations, it's the things it's giving to you when it's being triggered by something in your environment. Your nervous system has memory. When it sees something that's similar, it's going to give you the symptoms that manifest in fight, flight, or
Yeah.
I don't want to roll through that too quickly, you guys, but what I mean by that is it is hard to get to your truth when you need to move through that. So we can't just say Tony Robbins incantations. Love Tony Robbins, you guys, so I'm not ripping on him. We can't just incantation our way out of a
Yeah.
problem. So whether it is unconsciously you're not sure what's going on, or consciously you do and you're trying to incantation it away, the body needs to move some of this wound, some of this pattern out. So there's ways through that. There is strategy that I teach with the people I work with that it's not just about the brain rewiring its perception in a triggering situation, but your body be able to move through and release that. And that's the other
Yeah.
reason why pause is important. Pause is important for a variety of neuroscience reasons for your brain and body to optimize its space because it needs to clear out some noise and not just go into the next thing. That's very true, but also from a triggering space. So this is very scientific to you guys. When something that is in our environment that we're working on in our business, for that matter, in our life, that is similar to something in the past, our nervous system remembers it, gives our information to the brain and says,
Hmm.
hey, this is a threat or it's safe. And then the brain
Hmm.
decides from there what the best strategy is, right? You guys, the body always senses something before the brain actually
Yeah.
goes to execute. So what we have to do, one of my favorite phrases I say all the time on stage, and honestly with my clients, is the body decides and the brain executes. It's our job to either move out of the trigger or
Yeah.
enhance the truth. And you guys, that's a very high level skill. I want to be honest with you guys. That's why I really believe in getting support and coaching, because sometimes when we're in the middle, we don't know if it's truth or trigger.
Exactly.
If we do know it's truth or trigger, because we're so in pattern with an old operating system, we
You're
do
right.
knowing you shouldn't eat
What's real, what isn't real? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
not the cookie from the cookie jar, knowing you shouldn't, but you still do. So
Yeah.
some of the performance stuff I'm talking about, some of this leadership stuff, some of these nuances, you guys, it really comes down to that the bare bones is how do we return to your design? But once you're there, because this is very high level, I really want you guys to do this. We have to, from that space, be able to listen to our body. Is this truth or is this trigger? And have frameworks to either amp up the truth and choose from that space or move out the trigger. Because if we're in the trigger, we really truly can't decide or can't
No,
go.
we're in chaos. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
like a counselor for your team, you guys. I'm going to be very honest with you. This is why go to workshop trainings for teams, because
Mhm.
what your job is to create agency and optimization for yourself. It's your only job to get the nuances of what's happening in your culture and your team and get the right support to help them move through it powerfully so they, like you, can have agency over their
Mhm.
life, agency over their performance, and be able to decide and communicate well within that agency. When you guys are getting that together, and that's something I love to do besides one-on-one coaching, is these workshop trainings where we can actually get teams to understand if they're coming from truth or trigger, and how we can take uniqueness of people's ideas of performance and excellence and what that means to them and move it through on a common cause. We
Yeah.
assume all the time, Sarah, as leaders, that our team knows or understands
Mm-mm.
what we're saying,
Mhm.
often don't. So when we can really have the communication, discernment, decision making with ourselves first, we get much better at helping others perform.
Yes.
Because
A
we don't,
team will mimic the leader. So
yes.
if the leader is in that dysfunction, that is what you're inviting. So if the leader has found that equilibrium and knows how to deal with it, now it actually can pass that vibration on and that it's more acceptable. There's something else I want to address. There's something I read the other day, which was quite fascinating. This flight or fight that where we are designed to be in is that because we are still triggered in rather than the neophondical way of danger, perceived danger, we hold it in our body, but our body's used to run when that happened. It was designed to run away from the danger. We don't physically run anymore. So there are so many people that are getting pain at the base of their spine, in their legs and in their hips. Is because we're not running when we perceive danger. And so they had an exercise of lifting your legs right up high so in order to release it. But it makes sense. We were designed to run when we're being chased by a bull, right? And now we don't have that. We're perceiving danger in other places, but we're not running. And so, how do we spend that fear? How do we release that fear if we're not in action?
And, I'm a holistic practitioner, physical therapist, healer by trade, you guys. So I'm a big believer in diet,
Mm,
exercise, because it is part of our genetic makeup, you guys. We were meant to move. However, even with emotion, you guys, so compared to Laura Ingalls Wilder today, we're not dying of typhoid. We don't have some of the same physical problems that they had. They were a lot more
right.
organized, but we are having physical manifestations of holding emotions and traumas in our body, and they still need to
Hmm.
come out. So whether we're trying to create foundational physical structure, because we are human beings living in this human experience,
Yes.
to create physical stability helps with mental emotional stability for sure. But the reverse of that, when we're dealing with emotional traumas or things that are stuck in the body,
Yeah.
one of the greatest things we can do. And it is very specific, you guys. It's not just moving for movement's sake. And I'm
Right.
not going to get into that today, but whether you're in fight, flight, or freeze, there's different things you can do to move the emotion through because emotions are literally motions. Okay, you guys
Yes.
can move it through, even if we don't understand the full resolution of it or understand why it
Hmm.
happened or understand what the next strategy is to resolve a problem. Our point is when we clear out the noise, it allows our body then to start researching what is really truth and what strategies
Yes.
come from that. So you guys, we just have different problems than our
Yep.
ancestors.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, whether it's just trying to create physical fitness to create overall longevity and quality of life and also stability mentally, but also from a mental health, how do we create mental stability to also enhance physical well-being? Because when we're not emotionally processing things, you guys, it gets stored in our body
Yes.
and comes out as autoimmune because there's high
Mhm.
correlations to cancers when we're not processing traumas that are naturally stored in the body. And absolutely going back to what we were originally talking about, it absolutely affects performance and leading, you
Yeah.
guys. We get
Mm-hmm.
triggered and we decide inappropriately. We don't make decisions that
Mm-hmm.
are for our purpose. So remember, this isn't just about you guys feeling good, although many people I work with now want to create a great impact, Sarah, but also want to feel good doing it. Again, that doesn't mean you guys are going to have great days every day. What I mean is that you create stability and peace and anchoredness no matter the chaos that's going without. It's going to
You can be calm. You can find the calm. Yeah,
be
exactly.
frameworks, both physical and emotional. And that's where I come in, as a performance strategist, like how do we at a high level get you in real time during a really stressful inflection point, really show up and stay in your body and return to
Yes.
what it can give you so you can actually serve your team, your clients, and your community well from your heart and your soul and why you're here.
You got to serve yourself to serve others. If you're depleted or dysfunctional, that is what you'll be serving. I always say that emotions pop up for a reason. Mad, glad, happy, whatever the case is. What has triggered it? What does it mean? It's there as a message. It's there as a reaction to something going on. Look at it as the messenger. Do not become emotional over the emotions, because that's when it becomes kind of traumatizing. A lot of trauma, I believe, is that we hold on to emotion. Why am I angry? Well, this, and then you go on with the anger and the anger and the anger. And really, it was just telling you that situation is making you angry. Just move away, right? But we get caught up in that emotion, and I think a lot of it is sensationalism. And let's face it, society is constantly making us feel sensationalized by, pushing that button and stirring up fear and stirring everything else. And it's like buyer beware. Be careful what you're buying. Be careful what you're feeding. Remember, you are the algorithm in your own life. And what are you receiving? Because you don't want to take that on. What you're putting out is also the way people are going to receive you.
For sure, for sure. Going back to your truth, which is connected to your performance, which is connected, you guys, a lot of it, again, like I said, we're giving away our agency. And you guys, we can sit there and blame social media, we can blame AI, all this stuff. But I'm going to say this, just being aware, being aware,
Yes.
doing an audit on your life. How much time are you giving away
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for design? And you guys, that can, for all of us, be different. It could be in someone else's opinion. It
Yes.
could be a comparison on social. It could be making AI do everything for you that requires critical thinking, creative writing. I mean, because only you can be honest with that. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's these top three. What I'm going to say is this: we are at a point in history that if we don't protect the greatest machine
Mm-hmm.
to not only perform well for your business, you guys, and the impact you want, but to actually create a society that's connected, that's coming from a space of truth, that's coming from a place of love, that's coming from a place of groundedness, you guys, we're going to be in trouble.
Yes.
So I'm going to invite you all in. I don't say that to scare people. I'm saying the beauty is we have the ability to shift how we're showing the kids coming after us. And also
Yes.
do what our parents told us to. We have an
Mm,
opportunity to come back to our original design, perform
mm,
from a place as a leader, you guys, when you know
mm.
what happened as well, to decide, communicate, and produce better that is for the good of not only you, but the world around you. It is so vital, and no system you have, out there, no matter AI will give you that. So when you get this, you guys, the horse, the cart before the horse, when you put this
Yeah.
first, everything comes into your systems, the people you want, the things that are meant for you. And you guys, I've done it the wrong way. I want to be very clear. I went through it the hard way.
Hmm.
Earlier businesses, I've been an entrepreneur 18 plus years. I've been in wellness and holistic performance for 25. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, most of the people I work with not only have all these high level successful goals, they want to live a legacy that feels good. You guys feel
Yes.
good after, and at the end of the day, don't we?
Feels real.
Yeah, I don't
Hmm.
want that. We're craving that. So I'm gonna invite you all in. Like, if you don't know what even that is, many of you right now, I'm gonna say this, and I just feel this download to share this, Sarah. Like, I'm feeling really collectively from the world. People aren't sure what they want. They're kind of their
Yes.
maybe shift. Maybe they've lost their agency. Maybe they just don't. They're just in a transition. They don't know what they want. I'm gonna just invite all of you in to go on the walk, do a somersault,
Mm.
just journal, just play. You
Play.
guys do something
Mm.
that doesn't make sense. And I'm telling you, it's going to come back to you. And when it does, choose your people, get a coach, start getting back into the game that feels good to you. And we need you, and it'll come. And many of you are at that transition, that inflection point right now. I work with a lot of people that have been very successful that out there, like, I want to show up differently, not only because the world is different and crazy right now, but because I know I'm in a different place and I want to.
Yes.
So I'm going to invite you all in to just sitting back. If there's nothing else you've gotten from this podcast, is just, how do I want to perform? What does that mean to me? What is excellence? What is my truth? What are my core values? And just sit with that and just play with that. And if you don't know, that's okay too.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
That,
But
that,
you said play with it. That's when you go out in nature. That's where you play with children. That's actually where you remove yourself from your thought, right? And you just start to feel. And then through that feeling, then you start discovering what comes up from you. We've suppressed it for so long, right? By living the shoulds. And now you know you're in transition. But what is my why? What
yeah.
is my gift? Where do I go from here? That's
The transition often is, I call it, it's like, I'm a believer, not that you guys would be a believer, I'm a believer. I try to use a lot of biblical examples, whether you believe it's a truth or not. It has great stories of ways we can lead as people. And I think of Moses in the Bible. He didn't have clarity for 40 years, but he knew what his ultimate goal was before
right.
we were parted. And I'm going to encourage all of you, if you're kind of in that transition, I don't know what performance looks like or identity look like, you're in just the liminal space, and don't misdirect that you're not seeing movement. That means you're not clear. Sometimes you're clear on what you don't want, and the clarity of other things that you do want is still in that making.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the lack of external movement means that you're not moving. So I'm going to encourage all of you, guys, there's plenty of examples in the Bible where people are waiting quite a bit of a long time, but they know their point is still over here.
Yes.
In my life that are years where I'm like, am I headed in the right place? So I'm going to invite you guys again into really sitting in that and knowing, again, I'm a believer, but God comes to me all the time, like, do the course, Jennifer, be in this space. And some of this is going to be slower. Some of them I'm not going to reveal to you. Some of the things I will, but no matter what you guys believe, know that there is a creation out there that it wants you to come up and express yourself. And there's going to be seasons where it's slow and maybe doesn't even feel like you're getting it, but that is necessary to increase your capacity
Yes.
on where you're going. And it's, as we always say, you look back and I went through one of those a year ago. You guys, and I've been
Hmm.
for a long time. So understand that we all have those spaces, and when we are humbled enough to know that we can take our wisdom, but also realize we have a lot left to learn. It's going to help you perform in a way that creates excellence for whatever you're building, even if you don't know what that quite is yet.
I want to use the word time. On the human side, it says they were pushing everybody to do everything in this particular time, and they've got to be there at this particular age. They've got to be this time. When you surrender to time, right? God, universe, source, energy, whatever you wish it to be, and you allow it to come through to you in wisdom, through your soul to your heart in truth, spirit in action, mind in clarity, it will reveal when it's the right time. And it will align you with the right people. That we have to do when we sometimes feel we're not doing anything, we're not getting anywhere, we're realigning ourselves. We're coming home to ourselves. We're igniting our own core, our own essence, our own being, our own vibe. And through that, we'll find our vibe tribe. And then action can take place. But you've got to be whole as a person, as a beautiful human being, centered in your why. Then your what will be revealed, with whom and how. But it's stop going on the calendar time and go on the divine time, because that's the time that you really need to follow.
Yeah, 100%. And you guys, it sounds simple. This is why I believe in community. This is why I believe in coaches and mentors.
Yes.
Because it's simple, yet it's the hardest thing for us with our
To surrender.
and I constantly pray that for me every day, that I let go of things I can't control and work the things I can. So again, I encourage all of you, like, some of us can feel good and walk away from this, but my hope for all of you is that you not only want to integrate this, but your realization maybe you need support, however that looks from the people around you, because we can't do this alone, and we get in our own
We're
way.
not meant to. We're not meant to do it alone, right? I mean, you are responsible for your own personal journey. I call that the sunny side of the street. On this side of the street are all the people ready to help you when you ask, but you've got to come out of the dark, out of your own free will, and step onto that street and be willing to participate in your own healing, be willing to participate in your own journey. And the people that are there with the tools and the skills for you to apply are there ready to help you. But that free will is, we need to step onto that road.
Absolutely.
And then when we do walk that path, everything becomes clearer. Again, it isn't the rush, it isn't the time, it isn't the, chasing the stimulation. It just is a presence. It just is. It's just so meaningful. I'm on the right path. I feel it. I am it. And people feel it from you. It is such a sense of peace. And again, as you said, it doesn't mean there aren't bad days or things that happen. It's just that you don't break a sweat over it. You take it in your stride. You maybe pause for a moment to calibrate what's going on, and then you deal with it. What we don't have are those extreme highs or those extreme lows. We know how to ride the wave on a beautiful flow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The human is a beautiful space to be in. It's a crazy, crazy life that we get to make our mark in. I'm an identical twin, and I still, being her 99.9% genetic blueprint, have an opportunity to experience the world and impact the world in a different way. So the last thing I probably would say is if you guys can just understand and start engaging more the human machine, if you guys are needing support on how to do that, especially if you're at a transitional point,
Yes.
an identity shift, and you're not sure how to anchor and create clarity and create space and create patience and the capacity for it, I'd love to hear how this podcast set with you. And I'm always here for connection and follow back.
And of course, I want everybody to reach out to you. But the biggest problem is, I think, is the biggest question is, what is our truth? And very often we're still operating on the external truth and not the internal. And it's that willingness to let that truth unfold by taking the journey. And then someone to help you with that, your website, your Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Would you give us this all, please, love?
Absolutely. So I'm the most active on LinkedIn and on Instagram. On LinkedIn, it's Jen Watson, JENN hyphen Watson, WTSON. I had to do that because my name's very popular. And on Instagram, it's the Jennifer Watson. And I'm going to have a brand new website coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's Jen-Watson as well. But if you guys have any questions for me, I answer my own DMs. If you're looking for additional support or just wondering where you're at, I love to hear how this podcast aligned or not with you. This is how I grow to serve more powerfully. And again, always here for questions or additional support if that's something you're looking for.
And of course, people can get hold of you on Facebook, Jen Watson Official. Remember, JENN. And then on YouTube, she's Jen-Watson 47s. You can go and hear what she has to say as well. Remember, these shows are for you to listen, learn, and apply. We hope that you've learned something. We hope you truly listen. Now the application is there. Reach out to Jennifer, and you may just have a question, or you just say, look, I'm at this transition and I'm absolutely confused. It doesn't matter where you're at. You need somebody that's been there, that sees it more clearly, that sees you from the outside, not from the inside, because it's bringing your inside out and taking the exterior shell off, because that's what's weighing you down. And Jen knows how to kind of give you the tools and the skills to switch yourself back on and reveal yourself in all your beautiful essence. And that's when you become a better leader. When you're a truthful leader from your heart, your soul, your very essence, that's when you inspire other people to find that within them, right? And that's, if you really want to lead well in your own realm, become that leader, become that peace, become that love, because that's what people will be drawn to. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for sharing here today.
Thank you so much.
You know, it's really, really important that people know they're not alone. Go to people that have been through it, because you understand. You've created the skills and the tools for people to apply that can set them free and put them on the right path. And to realize we're not meant to do it alone. There is always somebody there. We have to apply. We have to participate. It's up to us how we use this, but you've got the skills and the tools for them to apply. So don't forget to do it, folks, because we really want you to be the beautiful beacon of light that you're meant to be. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you to listen to right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Come and hear the illumination that's going to shed light on your path.
Find your path with the knowledge of others.